Joining us now is Alabama Republican Senator Katie Britt. Senator, thank you so much for coming back on the show. President Trump quickly got Iran and Israel to agree to a ceasefire. You've said that Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. And Trump said today that U.S. officials in Iran will meet over the weekend. Negotiators had made little progress over several months before Israel's attacks. Why do you expect the outcome to change now that U.S. has also dropped bombs on Iran?
Look, I think President Trump understands what's at stake. He has said, look, we need peace in this region. We want to create prosperity. Nobody else, there's no other leader across the entire globe that could have gotten these two parties together. He mentioned it himself. Obviously, this is years and decades long of fighting. And so to bring them to the table, to have them to agree, to try to find a pathway forward is a huge step.
Today, President Trump claimed, quote, total obliteration of Iran's nuclear program. Two people familiar with a preliminary report by the Defense Intelligence Agency told ABC News the strikes did limited damage and that Iran was able to relocate highly enriched uranium stocks before the strikes occurred. Now, the White House has pushed back on that preliminary report, which they say was based off of 1 day's worth of intelligence. Would you say that these strikes were worth it?
Yes, Linsey, I mean, you know that Iran would not come to the table if this only left a scratch on their nuclear program. Getting them to the table, looking and forging a pathway to peace is a direct result of President Trump making the decision and the incredible work that our men and women in uniform did. We know that collection continues to occur, and we will ultimately at some point know the final outcome. But we know that this brought these two programs together, these two people, these two parties together, and that this program has to cease to exist. President Trump has been saying it, Linsey, for the last 10 years, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. We know that the enrichment that you just said they talked about, maybe even leaving the facility, obviously was there. And so making sure that they don't have a program, that we completely and totally dismantle it, still has to be a top priority. And I know it is for this administration, and believe that ultimately they'll get that done.
How concerned are you about the security and safety of the roughly 40,000 American service members who are stationed in the Middle East?
Look, the safety of our servicemen and women always comes first. Clearly, they are all in our prayers. I think Iran knows that when President Trump speaks, they should listen. And so he has said, do not have one attack. We don't want to lose one American lives. And I believe that that will be heeded. Ultimately, if it's not, I believe Iran will pay the consequences. Today is a day for peace. It is a way to forge a pathway forward, one of prosperity for the entire region. That is what is at stake. But it's going to take these two parties working together and actually figuring out how to achieve that. But I think with President Trump and Secretary Rubio at the helm, that will get done.
President Trump said about his so-called big, beautiful budget bill, to my friends in the Senate, lock yourselves in a room if you must. Don't go home. No one goes on vacation until it's done.
That's right.
So, Senator, a question just for you is, will you be watching 4th of July fireworks in Alabama or D.C.?
That's exactly right, Linsey. Look, we are committed to getting this done. We understand what is at stake. We will not allow the American people to ultimately have the largest tax hike in history hoisted upon them. We understand that President Trump needs the tools to secure our border, to make sure that we have a 21st century defense, that our servicemen and women are the best trained, equipped, and ready across the planet. Just the days and the last few days has shown us and crystallized the need for that, making sure that we're not just energy independent, but energy dominant, and making sure that hard-working Americans can actually keep more of their money and have an opportunity to thrive and live the American dream. I was proud to get some child care provisions included in the bill. I know that when you're looking at what parents are dealing with what hardworking Americans are dealing with, there's no better intersection than dealing with the affordability and accessibility of child care. Republicans heard that, and we are stepping up to the plate. So we are going to work around the clock, nights and weekends, and to your point, for as long as it takes to get it done, to achieve results, and to deliver on what President Trump promised the American people on November 5th.
You've said that you count some Democrats in the Senate among your best friends in the chamber, and you mentioned you're particularly close with Senator Booker. What do you think is the problem? Why can't we see more lawmakers on both sides of the aisle take the time to build friendships with the other party?
Linsey, I think it's critically important that we do that we get to know each other as people and figure out where do we share a common goal, where do we have common interest that we can work to advance. I think we all owe it to the people we serve when we do share a common goal with someone on the other side of the aisle to get in a room and figure out how to forge a pathway forward. So I think we need more of that where we talk about the issue and figure out how we can get in a room and move it forward. And I'm certainly committed to doing that with people on both sides of the aisle.
Senator Katie Britt can't thank you enough for coming on the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much.